Welcome to Immediate Review, where we talk about the movies that we saw this year and give you a list of what we thought about them. So, this is a special video. We're going to do a disappointed and a surprised list for movies. There'll be 3 movies each. And we'll go Dakota, me, and then Person A.
We are joined with our off-screen ethereal voice, Person A. Person A, you want to say hey?
Hey.
All right.
We're going to start and go through all the most disappointing movies first, and then if you want to skip through, you can check out the surprising after. All right, so I rolled a d20, so I'm going first. All right, so my number 3 most disappointing flick of the year is the 2019 version of Shaft. I'm a big Shaft fan. I love the Shaft. But, I'm a big fan of the franchise. And when they announced that there was a new one, I was like, oh, they're rebooting Shaft. And then I saw it had Sam Jackson. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And it just, it didn't have the vibe. It felt like it was made by people who didn't understand what Shaft was all about. They didn't know how to handle the Shaft. And it was kind of just like a script written by a grumpy old man who hates millennials, and it was so full of awkward coconut water's gross and just a bunch of gay jokes, and I don't know. It was just none of it was used well. It just I want Sam Jackson's Shaft to be a badass motherfucker, and he was just a grumpy old man who complained about millennials, and it's I don't know. Shaft is number 3.
That's really funny, dude. So my number 3, most disappointing this year was Marvel's Avengers Endgame.
Ooh.
So I was expecting, an amazing spectacle with this, and if anybody's watched our videos over the last couple months, that we aren't necessarily huge Marvel fans. I definitely don't like a lot of the Marvel movies. I do like some of them, but not all of them. And this one I was hoping was gonna wrap everything up
because
really
you liked
well.
Infinity War.
Yeah, I thought Infinity War was it wasn't great, but it wasn't the worst of the worst. It's no fucking Thor Dark World or any of those.
It's one of the best though.
But yeah, it's definitely really good. And then the next one, they kind of just destroy Thanos' character and Thor's character, and they just Hulk's character as well. We never get to see this epic battle between the Hulk and Thanos. Their rematch essentially. And yeah, the epic battle is just I don't know. I felt was poorly done. There wasn't really a whole lot at stake, and yeah, while Cap grabbing Thor's hammer was cool, it's it wasn't cool enough to make it not disappointing for me. And the fact that the whole spoiler campaign happened, and it's people got so mad because if anything was spoiled, it ruined the movie, because that's all the movie was just tiny little cool things that if it's ruined for you, the movie isn't as good.
I predicted a lot of it.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, that's my number 3. Person A with the D1 roll.
Should we just play rock,
That
paper,
one.
For what?
Just for fun. I don't know.
Okay.
Person A, you gonna go?
Oh, you're just over there playing.
Yeah,
For visual interest. Okay, my number 3 pick was a film that I still enjoyed, but not as much as I wanted to, which was Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
Surprising that you put that on there.
I got really, really hyped for this. I really wanted it to be. Ryan Reynolds is Pikachu.
Yeah.
Damn. It's most of the movie I enjoyed. It was the ending. It was the ending that made it, is what made it on the disappointing list for me. Just the way the ending turns out, that Ryan Reynolds is actually his dad, that Pikachu is not actually a talking Pikachu, just all the story elements that I'm sure were taken from the game that kind of made it disappointing. The lack of pure Pokemon dog fighting in the movie, you know.
I didn't even know it was a game beforehand. I thought it was just like, oh, a cool new Pokemon IP. And I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Some lame ass fucking handheld game.
But yeah, the ending is what kind of ruined it for me. It was like, the dad you always wanted was inside your Pikachu all along.
Just kind of ruined that whole relationship.
It ruined the whole movie building,
and
like him like building trust with that Pokemon. And then it's like, never mind, your Ryan Reynolds' dad is back, and he's taking his Pikachu back, and now you got to go out and find your own Pokemon. I don't know. The ending kind of ruined it for me. I enjoyed the rest of the movie. Still an enjoyable movie, but it was disappointing ultimately for me based on my expectations. I had higher expectations for that one.
Well reasoned.
As a Pokemon fan.
Okay, so my number 2 pick is Rob Zombie's 3 from Hell. Won't go too deep into it. You can go watch our review. I think it was the second one we did. So
I think so.
Yeah.
It was definitely one of the
early
first.
days, but yeah, I'm a big Rob Zombie fan, and I didn't even have high hopes for this. That's the thing, I knew it was 10 years too late, and I knew it was like, and it still was just bad. It's his worst movie, and yeah, it's just a repeat. Go watch our review. Rob Zombie's 3 from Hell. Super big disappointment.
All right, my number 2 is Jordan Peele's second feature film, Us.
Oh, okay.
I absolutely loved Get Out. I thought it was just magnificent. You know, such a really, really good horror movie. Daniel Kaluuya just fucking kills it, and like literally kills it. Us was just so weird to me, and I had really high expectations for like an isolated kind of insanity based kind of horror movie, and it kind of turns into this like nationwide epidemic that just kind of asks more questions than it is able to answer. And I couldn't believe that any of it was actually happening and that this is going on, and it was just completely unbelievable to me. And the whole premise, like once they get to their friend's house, and it's like Us shows up, I was just like, okay, this is really fucking weird. And then the whole, they switched and whatnot was, I predicted because of the trailers and whatnot. It was just all around pretty disappointing for me.
Yeah, that almost made my disappointing list, but I still haven't watched it a second time, and I feel like I need to reevaluate it. All right, person A, second most disappointing film.
All right, so my second most disappointing film is a little film called El Camino.
The movie I forgot we watched.
Yeah, the movie that we couldn't even get all the way through because it's so boring. And that's saying a lot. Okay, so this El Camino, if you don't know, follows Jesse from Breaking Bad after the events of the finale of Breaking Bad. You would think it would be interesting, and it's not. It's really fucking boring. It is a snooze fest. It's so...
There was a lot of hype built up
There was so much hype built up around it. I was like, yeah, I'm so stoked to revisit the Breaking Bad universe and to see Jesse Pinkman again, and I can't remember Aaron, to see Aaron Paul exercise his acting chops, and to see all the side players again, and all of that, see where they take it, find out what happened to Jesse during his time in captivity, all of that. Spoiler alert, not a whole lot. He does some boring, boring in terms of Breaking Bad and all the shit that happens in there, tasks for the main guy, and drives around in a Camino, and it's just it was so slow and dull that it was hard to pay attention to it, and like they did a good job with like his PTSD and stuff, but it was almost too good. Like I felt like I was dissociating there with him, and therefore not paying any attention to the film at all. Like it was sad. Like it did not draw me in like the Breaking Bad show did at all.
This show was a masterpiece.
Show was a masterpiece. Movie was not.
Okay, so my number one most disappointing film of the year. Man, I've been really excited the past couple months. I was more excited for this movie than Star Wars in a lot of ways. Motherfucking Cats. Like, I really wanted to love this ironically and, like, add it to my bad movie collection and, like, you know, to play a Cats drinking game, and it is...
Unwatchable?
I don't know if our review is out at this point, but watch it. Yeah. Fucking Cats, man. It's just not good. It's not. People are trying to make Cats a thing. Stop trying to make Cats a thing. It's never gonna happen. I guess it's been happening for 40 years. I gotta accept it. All right. What is your number one disappointing film of the year?
My number one most disappointing movie. It Chapter 2.
Whoa! Damn! Really? Okay.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, it has been a while since I watched this. I believe this was the first review we put out on this channel.
Yep.
So go check it out. You know, like our format pretty much hasn't changed. Anyhow, yeah, I was super hyped for this movie. We've been talking about it for months. We went to the re-release of the first one. We watched trailers for this one, a whole extended scene and whatnot. It was awesome. I was so
I reread
hyped.
The book.
I had plans to like fill up red balloons and like tie them around sewer grates all around town. Like I wanted to do that shit. I was like, motherfucking Chapter 2. And man, did this movie fucking suck ass. Like, I was just like, I could not understand, like, what happened. Like, all these actors just, like, they managed to make, fucking, what's his name? He played Richie. Fucking...
Bill Hader?
Bill Hader, yeah.
Oh.
They managed to make Bill Hader not funny. And, like... You know, just, I don't know, like, none of it really, like, made sense, and it all just kind of ends with, like, them all pointing and going, clown, clown, and,
Clown.
Yeah, it's ridiculous,
Clown.
And, yeah, so, that, you know, like, I don't think it made my worst list, I'll have to check, but Chapter 2, was very disappointing to me.
I was excited for that before I saw the trailers, but the moment I saw the trailers, I was like, it's gonna fucking suck. Because I think the first one's just okay. I like it, but like I think it has a lot of problems. I mean,
well, I mean, and yeah,
for a remake, it's fantastic, but like just in terms of a horror movie in general, it's not that great. It's got moments, but it's like I don't know.
And it you know, presents itself as it's trying to build to something, and then that something is at Chapter 2, and it's like it's not good. They have to go on a MacGuffin hunt, and then when they find their MacGuffins, they can fight the clown, and then other things happen, and then they win. Anyways, super disappointing. Number one.
Go watch our It Chapter 2 review.
Yep.
Person A. What is your number one?
I have the same number one pick as a Piecha, but for different reasons. Because I did not have high expectations for this at all. I was expecting it to suck. I didn't like the first one. Like, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be lame. But you know, Bill Hader's in it, and the cast is good, and it'll probably just be like, meh, passable. I watched it, and I was seething with fucking rage the entire time. From the beginning onward. Everything about it is terribly done, and like where a lot of my disappointment comes in is in their handling of like LGBTQ characters, LGBTQ issues, like all of that. They did such a terrible fucking job. Like, especially given, you can say, yeah, in the source material. Yeah, the source material, like, I, like, went through and I read the chapters that they're referring to. The source material handles it a lot better.
Way better.
Way better. The hate crime and everything and the impact that it has on the town and, like, all of that and, like, what's going on in Derry and the climate and all of that. The film, it just feels so gross.
It's because it's rushed.
I can't say the word
Exploitative.
Exploitative. Exploitive.
Exploitative.
Yeah, it's just, and the characters don't feel like real people. They're just like stereotypical like cardboard cutouts, and like even like playing with the subtext with Richie and Eddie, they do a poor job of that.
I didn't even pick up on that, and then once you said it, I was like, that's so
and
dumb.
it's not, and that subtext is there in the original novel. It was there in the miniseries too, and like it's been discussed for decades, and they did a terrible job trying to bring it to the screen and make it like, more out in the open, and they like that's where most of my disappointment came in, and most of my rage came in with that. And then of course it's just like 2 hours of them doing a pointless task that ultimately adds up to fucking nothing. They do the bathos thing frequently, where they undercut serious scenes with lame humor that doesn't fucking work. And then it goes on forever. I was like, when is this gonna end? When is this fucking gonna end? And normally I have no problem with long movies. Like, I don't have a problem with sitting down and watching something that's like 3 hours, 4 hours. This felt like it was just going on forever because the story just it felt purposeless. And I was full of rage from the opening. And that rage never subsided. They never did anything to quell that rage at all.
When I read the book, I loved that sequence, and I thought it was an interesting way to start it, because it's like Georgie and then that, and they're both the first events that happen.
And it's a corruption of like innocence.
And yeah, but for the movie to do that justice, they would have to spend like 20 minutes, 20 minutes. I think you could do it in 10 to 15 minutes. And they should have maybe taken that time to have a badass extended opening with a new character that we grow attached to, but they kind of just quickly do it and use cheap things, just like,
Oh, it feels
they're
so
just like
cheap.
super like, ah, ha, 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 and like slap each other on the ass, like, let's run down the alley, we're so gay, we're gonna get killed.
It's just like so, and it feels so just, ugh, I hate it.
Yeah. Ugh.
Like, it's not done well at all.
I say we move on to a happier note. Our most surprising movies of 2019. So, I believe we'll keep initiative from our first roll. So, Dakota will start us off with his most surprising.
All right, my number 3 most surprising is the CGI Addams Family movie that came out.
Really? You saw that one?
Yeah, and I thought it was going to be terrible. I didn't like the trailers, and it's not very well animated. The animation is not great at all. But they really stayed true to all the characters while giving it a modern twist. And I thought it was so deliciously morbid. And I loved, this might just sound strange, but I just loved seeing just kids with their families watching some scenes that are just so messed up when you really break it down. Like when Morticia wakes up, she goes to the counter, and her makeup is her mom and dad's ashes that she puts on her face. And there were so many just I don't know, it was fun and creepy and kooky, and it represented the Addams Family well. It wasn't amazing. Got really bad reviews, but I was pleasantly surprised.
All right. So what I laughed about when you mentioned Shaft earlier, my number 3, most surprising, is Shaft.
Hell yeah!
Um,
No, there are a lot of things I liked about it. I mean, I it's like, but it just it was a solid like action buddy movie. But for me, Shaft, it just like it just didn't feel like part of the Shaft franchise. It just felt like a different movie with Sam Jackson. Like I did like enjoy a lot of it though. The action was top notch, great cinematography, like and everything.
So I hadn't seen any of the Shafts until I think the night before we went to go see this one. We watched one of them. Which one was it?
We watched the 2001, which is the
Okay.
fourth one, the one with Sam Jackson.
Yeah, so we went to go see this one, and like I was expecting just like Shaft, like the original movie, and I honestly was pleasantly surprised by some of the themes that they were bringing up, because a lot of the theme in the movie that we watched was like essentially racism in the police force and him having to essentially drop the law in order to like bring justice to these people. And he's constantly put under prejudice from these police officers' eye. And then what does he go and do? He goes and has that same prejudice against his kid, and his kid shows him by the end that even though he has those traits and behaves in this way, doesn't mean that he's not a super awesome badass. And it kind of, I don't know,
It's true. I thought about that later on.
it does some weird stuff though. Like there's a character that's just like, "Fuck you, Shaft," and then when Shaft's kid starts acting like Shaft, she's like, "Ooh," and whatnot, which is kind of like it's just like emphasizes like every woman loves a manly man that kills motherfuckers, and it's like whatever. But I was surprised. I thought that it was well done. The gunplay was excellent. I thought it was hilarious, and I really enjoyed myself. I was very surprised.
No, yeah, I do like a lot of it, and I had fun at the theater. I wasn't like it's horrible, but like it's just
Yeah, it's just disappointed. This isn't a worst list. It's just something you were like,
as
it's okay.
as a Shaft fan, man. I was just like, oh, we're really gonna make cell phone jokes and fucking like I don't know, man. I just like it's low hanging fruit for me. But I like Shaft Jr. more than I thought I would. Like, there's a lot to enjoy in the new Shaft, but it was my least favorite one for sure. All right, person A, what is your number 3 most surprising film of the year?
So my number 3 most surprising film of the year was the first movie I saw in theaters this year, which was Escape Room. Which, I honestly thought, okay, this could be, this is probably good, like, I saw the trailers and I was like, okay, so this is going to go one of two ways. This is either going to be, like, serviceable, or this is going to be fucking god-awful. And I was very pleasantly surprised that with the exception of the really super, like, sequel, tacked on ending, it was really good. Like, I really had a fun time. And I was, like, partially dreading, like, with horror movies nowadays, unless it's, like, coming from an auteur and it's going to be an artful, like, horror masterpiece from the get-go based on the director and, like, the trailer. Like, you go into it and you're like, oh, is this going to suck? Like, and I was partially almost like, okay, well, maybe if it sucks, it'll be, like, in a fun way. But no, this was actually, like, legitimately good in a lot of ways. And just fun, and I enjoyed the film, and I will probably go see the sequel, which I'm sure will be terrible and disappointing, but I'll go see it anyway because I enjoyed the first one.
It won't be rushed at all.
It won't be.
It won't be rushed. Because that's the thing that definitely felt rushed, and like was the ending of this movie, which is like sequel.
It is top-notch PG-13 horror. It really is.
Yeah, it's very imaginative, which I liked.
I liked the floor dropping scene where the floor slowly starts falling and whatnot, and they kind of have to jump around this bar that's like upside down. It's super cool.
They do some really interesting, and the drug, like the scene where they're like drugged and it's like a acid trip room, and like It's really interesting.
I will say that Midsommar did those effects better, but Escape Room did a good job with doing those effects. But overall, I was not a huge fan of Escape Room. But that's all I'm gonna say.
It's good.
Hey,
It's
it's
fine.
not making it's not making it on my best list, but it was definitely surprising.
Yeah,
like I
for
expected
sure.
it to like totally suck, or at the very least be like mediocre.
Yeah,
or I'll never watch it again, but I'll watch this again.
And
I'm surprised by that. The fact that I will watch this
tension
again.
and dread too. So it definitely had what it needed.
Yeah.
But it was
It was fun.
So my number 2 most surprising is Zombieland Double Tap. I had like zero interest in this movie. It's, I didn't really care. It's not that I like hated Zombieland. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like
I wasn't too interested in seeing it, and I was forced to go see it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought they progressed all the characters really well. The repeat jokes they did were clever. It's just like it wasn't too long. It was really fucking good. And I was bummed we didn't review it. But yeah, I went from feeling like Zombieland only needed to be one thing to being like, yeah, make it a trilogy. I think it's worthy of a trilogy, honestly.
wow.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Zombieland Double Tap.
All right. My number 2 most surprising is Countdown. I thought this movie was gonna be a pile of shit.
Yeah, we had a blast.
Fucking
go watch our review.
Phone app, the movie, like deadly phone app, like fucking. This was gonna suck ass, and man, I had so much fucking fun at this movie. I laughed through the whole fucking thing.
Yes.
It was hilarious. It was ridiculous. It was so dumb and ham-fisted and just in your face, breaking the fourth wall with fucking shit. Just like, it was so funny, and eventually it just turns into a #MeToo kind of story where they fight a doctor and the Grim Reaper at the same time. It's so awesome. Go see this movie. Countdown, second best for surprising.
Live tweet it.
Live tweet that shit.
Alright, person A, what is your second most surprising?
So my second most surprising is a movie that is legitimately good and actually made it on to my best list, and that is Rocket Man.
Spoiler alert. Oh, Rocket Man. What? You thought it was going to be good?
Okay. Let me explain myself.
Alright.
So, last year with Bohemian Rhapsody and like every year with paint by numbers biopics, I expected the same thing from Rocket Man. Going into it, I'm like, okay, paint by number biopic. Like, it took you being like, no, you gotta watch this for me to actually get around to watching it, because I was like, yeah, it looks good from the trailers, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna follow the same freaking structure that every music biopic does, and it's gonna be the same thing, and why even bother? Like, and it probably won't get into the real nitty gritty. I was like, Elton John has a lot of like darkness in his past, and I doubt this movie will get into it. Boy, was I fucking surprised when not only did they get into all the darkness, but they do it in such an imaginative, cool, like out there way. Like, they took a lot of fucking risks in that movie.
By making it like a Broadway musical.
By making it, yeah, it's like a Broadway musical, and they're like, they were real fast and loose with when the songs were used. Like, It wasn't like he's singing "The Bitch Is Back."
Yeah.
When he's like a little boy, and like
and his mom comes
and his mom comes and gets him. It's like, it's just the way that they did it, and they framed the film and everything is just so creative and well done, and not like a paint by numbers music biopic at all. And I was so pleasantly surprised.
I love it. It's fantastic.
Like, it was great, and I was like, I want to see this on Broadway. I want to see this like as an actual like.
That's your number 2.
Musical. Mm-hmm. That's my number 2.
It was so good in theaters.
Yeah, I wish I had seen it in theaters. I'm disappointed in myself for being like, not gonna see it in theaters.
Go see Rocket Man.
Yeah.
Go fucking see Rocket Man.
All right. My number 1 most surprising film of the year is Dora and the Lost City of Gold. I seriously
Dora.
I seriously couldn't believe how much I enjoyed this movie. Like, when it starts, it's so bad. Like, the CGI is horrible. It's, like, so stupidly fast-paced and edited.
Do they make a Tinder joke?
And
Swipe or no swipe?
That'd be pretty funny. But it's like, it just starts off so horrible, and I was like, oh, God, what is this? This is going to be the worst thing ever. And then it, like, cuts to, like, you know, Dora and Diego as kids in a cardboard cart, and they're just playing, like, imagination. And then from there on, it's, like, a real, genuine, like, it's, I don't know, story of, like, growing up and adapting in a new environment. And, you know, I love fish out of water stories. And they do some fucking hilarious shit with, like, a girl who grew up into the jungle going to, like, a public school. Like, there's a hilarious scene where she goes through a security metal detector, and she's just on all this dangerous survival shit with her. And then he's like, you can keep the yo-yo. And she's like, you realize this is by far my most deadly weapon. Like, there's all sorts of fucking just hilarious, great jokes. It's totally for kids. Like, I'm not gonna, like, I don't own it. Or, like, I'm gonna, like, you know, want to watch it and stuff. But, like, for kids, yeah, if you're a parent, get your kid Dora. It is not annoying. And it makes fun of the show a lot. It both makes fun of the show and, like, makes it accessible for kids, and you don't want to blow your brains out. Yeah, could not believe that this movie put a smile on my face. Dora, what's your number one?
All right, my number one, most surprising, and this is going to be surprising for a lot of people, SpiderMan Far From Home.
Oh, SpiderMan.
SpiderMan.
You mean Night Monkey?
Night Monkey.
So I did not I like I said
Spider Boy.
I don't like
Spider Boy.
I don't like Marvel movies that much, really, but like I love Spider-Man, like the Sam Raimi series. I love, played a lot of the games. Spider-Man PS4 fucking kicked ass.
Oh, hell yeah.
And yeah, this movie just felt like a Spider-Man movie. It still had little bits of like Iron Man here and there helping with the whole Edith thing and him like having to design his suit using Tony's software, but you know, he figured out his Peter Tingle. Okay? Okay, he took down the drones, and that
movie. I'm sorry to interrupt. That movie is way too sexual. Whoever wrote that had a giant erection the whole time.
Yeah.
There are so many sex jokes and things.
Like, what if Jon Favreau fucked Peter's aunt?
Dude,
wouldn't that be hilarious?
And him and the two guys, and like I don't know. And like Peter gets caught, and he's like, Peter's a prostitute. And like the second time I watched the movie, I was just like, there's so much fucking horniness.
They're sexualizing this underage boy.
Yeah, there really is. But yeah, he uses his spider sense incredibly in this when that hallway goes black and he just fucking starts rolling down that hallway and just kicking the shit out of all the drones and whatnot. I was like, fuck yeah.
No, it's one of the best Spider-Man movies,
and even the scene before where he's getting his ass kicked in the hologram, I thought the editing was fucking fantastic. Was totally like Mysterio. I was like, hell yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal killed it.
Yes, he did. He did a good job. And yeah, I think Tom Holland did too. I felt like he was the most Spider-Man in this movie. But you know, that's not like the bar's pretty low there, because I didn't really like him in the Civil War, and I really did not like him in Homecoming. But this one surprised me.
I almost put Far From Home on my list, but yeah, I don't know. I'm glad I didn't, because you did. So, all right, person A.
So my number one is from the flip side of the superhero universe coin, the DC film. I went with Shazam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shazam.
Because after Suicide Squad and Justice League, I was feeling a little let down, and I was like, I don't know how this is, like, Shazam is... Like, I kind of just went, and I was like, we'll see. Like, I didn't know... like, I didn't know a whole lot about Shazam's origins, anything like that. I was like, I'm just gonna go because it looks like it might be vaguely, like, good. And I was a little worried about with the humor and lightness if they were gonna do, like, the bathos thing or not. No, they handled everything so fucking well. Like, this movie made me cry, made me laugh. It was just, like, it was so well structured and shot, and it was, like, after watching it, I was like, okay, Return of DC. Yay. They appear to be on the right track. It was hugely, like, surprising in that sense, because I was like, okay, DC, I love you, but I feel like you're going down the wrong...
You're going down a path I
can't follow! And then I saw Shazam, and I was like, never fucking mind, they're back, and they're doing it, like... This film does that without feeling like it's trying to be a Marvel movie. Like, the characters, like, the humor feels, like, natural to the characters. It doesn't feel shoehorned in. It doesn't feel unnatural.
It takes kids.
Part of it is because they're kids.
Sarcastic little shits who don't care about being serious.
But at the same time, not all the kids are like that. Each kid has their own personality, and some of those kids are some of the kids in the home are super sincere. Some of his, like... basically adopted family.
Literal
and so there's like a lot of sincerity. Like, it feels like a really sincere movie in addition to being like funny and lighthearted. It's really sincere, and it tackles some really tough shit, and it takes that stuff seriously. It never undercuts the stuff with his mom abandoning him with any like jokes or anything like that. It takes like the only person who like makes jokes about I can't remember the name of the kid, but basically like his sidekick manager who has a disability. The only person who makes jokes about it is that kid, and when anybody else is doing it, it's like bullying, and it's clear like it's Eddie, yes, Eddie from It Chapter 2, who I only like in that movie.
From It Chapter 2?
I mean, I'm sorry, It Chapter 1. God, he's digitally de-aged in It Chapter 2. And we can't stand by that. I just still have It Chapter 2 on the brain.
I know, I'm just kidding.
But, I mean, that's the film that has the classic, like, puking scene in it with Eddie, so...
Shazam. Matt dragged us to Shazam. We were all like, no, we don't want to go. And Matt's like, dude, Shazam, it's DC, we gotta. And we're like, all right,
and then I saw it and I was like, fuck yeah, I'll see this again. It was
sure
awesome.
I was excited for it, but like, it was when you I think messaged me and you were like, yo, we're gonna go see Shazam, and I was like, let's do it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I remember you guys weren't super stoked until it started, and it was hilarious and awesome, and the crowd was awesome, and like it was so funny.
Now, and it had an edge to it, like more so than like most other superhero films, like locking cops up in fucking buildings, and I don't know, and with they go, he's like, I'm an adult, and they go buy like porn and beer, and
stuff that had like 13 like if a 13-year-old kid was suddenly had an adult body, he would totally do. But the funny thing is, then they play it off like he's drinking beer for the first time, and you know what? Like, anybody who's drank beer for the first time as a kid, it fucking tastes like shit. Like, the humor is so, like, natural and doesn't feel forced, and I love that. And the serious scenes are sincere. It surprised me, and now I'm excited for everything with one big exception from DC. So.
Kazam is better, though. I think we've gone on long enough. Thank you for watching.
So, coming up next, we're going to do a top 10 worst for the three of us, and then our top 10 best of 2019. Stay tuned for those. Like and subscribe. Thumbs up the video. Comment. Let us know what you thought. Tell us your top 10. Who cares? We're doing it. Woo!